Hello, I am Paul Schwartz. This is Rick Santorno, and this is the Back and Forth podcast. No, inside joke. Okay, but today we'll be discussing, obviously, just to clear up, Joey and Matt. I think you guys know that by now. But today we'll be discussing the NBA draft night scenarios. We're a couple teams here. We've done mock drafts, but tonight we're going to do more scenarios and stuff that could happen on draft night. Crazy stuff always happens on draft night, so, let's go into it right away. The number one pick seems to be a lock on Zion Williamson, so we're not going to discuss on that. I doubt the Pelicans have any interest in trading that, but the second pick could clearly be traded here. Memphis Grizzlies have expressed interest in moving that number 2 pick. They're not as locked in on John Morant as they were before. Here comes the Celtics fan in me. Here comes Boston. With the likely departure of Kyrie Irving, could piece together a deal for that number 2 pick, which I think would involve 14, 20, 51, and the rights to Memphis' pick back the next 2 years. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is a scenario I think I would like to see happen, and I think that has a good chance in happening. Another team I think that can make a strong push for that trade could be the Charlotte Hornets. Could move up. They could use their assets if they feel like Kemba Walker is going to depart. They could move up and select a future point guard. Matt, what do you think the Grizzlies will do with that number 2 pick?
I have a gut feeling. I think they're gonna try and hang on to this. I get the feeling they've kind of moved on from Mike Conley. They're just gonna try and ship him away. I think he might be a free agent. If not, they're gonna probably trade him away.
He's not a free agent.
Yeah, they're bottom line. I think they're done with him. And I think it's too valuable of a pick to give up, especially when you look at who's projected at that slot. You have Ja Morant, who arguably could come in and really change that franchise probably right away. You don't have the...
Where's your cap? That was big cap. Right away?
Big cap?
You think Ja Morant's going to just come in right away and they'll be
I think so. I think he's going to shock some people. I'm not saying he's Rookie of the Year, because that's not going to be a tough contest this year, but he's going to be in contention for it. I mean... I think we saw what he did with Murray State. He's obviously proven, at least I think, that he can play in the league. He's worth the number 2 pick. But you make a good point. I do think if somebody calls up Memphis with a good enough offer, maybe somebody like I'm trying to think. It won't be Charlotte. They won't trade Kemba because he'll be a free agent.
No, I didn't say Kemba. They would trade their assets like Devontae Graham. What pick do they have? The 12th pick. Malik Monk, Dwayne Bacon, Miles Bridges Jr., Frank Kaminsky. They have assets and future picks that can move up. They're not going to be able to, obviously, but to get a replacement for Kemba Walker, that's a team I can definitely see interested.
You do bring up a good point with the Celtics scenario. I think what would really top the deal off and probably get it done right away is if you threw somebody like Scary Terry in there.
Free agent.
Is he free agent?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Horford's an interesting case because...
I think Horford is going to go to Houston for Clint Capella. I seriously think that's already a done deal.
It probably would save you guys a little bit of cap, I believe, wouldn't it? Or is Clint...
Like $4 million.
Hey, you need all the bits you can to...
Hold on, let me do the math here. Clint's on 5 years, $90 million, I believe.
Yeah. So, hey, he just re-signed for a while.
Good.
So, but anyways...
$18 million. So that actually saves us... I would say it was $12 million next year.
Yeah, so that cuts into a good part of your over the cap limit that your guys are at. I think it's like 21, so bring it 12 of that.
Negative 9 now.
Any little bit helps, but I think Memphis, like I said, if they don't get a probably good enough offer, they'll probably just keep the pick, let Conley walk, or maybe they'll trade Conley for, I don't know, a bag of Doritos and a Snickers bar. Who knows? And probably get Ja Morant, unless, like I said, somebody really blows him away with an offer, which could very well happen. We don't know.
The number 3 pick now is another pick that could definitely be moved. The Knicks just don't have any idea what they're doing, man. They want RJ, and they don't want RJ.
They're like the Raiders of the NBA.
I think they just they have board meetings. The Knicks, like this with this room here with all the desks, and they just sit there for 2 hours and they're like, I got nothing. You guys got anything? They're like,
well, we were counting on you to have something.
Like, what about the scouting department? Have you guys done anything? They're like, we were supposed to go to the combine. I just watched it on TV. They're like,
yeah. They're like the Raiders of the NBA, I call them, because they don't have a plan. Nobody knows what they're doing.
But they're another team that can move that third pick, and it's not the but like I'm just gonna keep bringing up the Celtics in every pick, and I would do this if I was a Celtic, and everyone's gonna think I'm lying, but I would do this if I'm not being a Celtics fan. If I wasn't a Celtics fan, they have assets, they have multiple picks. They came out the other day. They're trying to build a starting five around Brown and Tatum. I think they're not gonna obviously. I don't think they'll acquire picks 2 and 3, but I expect them to be interested and try and make a pitch to get these picks to move up in the draft. But the more likely scenario I see here is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Very similar to what happened last year. I believe it was the Hawks and Mavericks that swapped picks 3 and 5. I could see Cleveland and New York doing that. The Cavs are in love with RJ Barrett. They want him really bad. Those teams can obviously swap picks 3 and 5. Cleveland can send future picks, or they could send guys like Larry Nance Jr., Kevin Love, which would give New York some star power, and could have them be able to put together a better pitch come free agency, because they already have a guy in place, and Cleveland already has that all-star caliber player in Kevin Love. So I think the Cleveland Cavaliers will be the most likely trade partner for that third pick. You have any comments on what the Knicks do you think will do with that third pick? I'm gonna go with they trade with the Cavaliers for Kevin Love in the 5th pick.
I don't know. I mean, to me,
and the Knicks send pick 3 and their second rounder.
I think we talked about this a little bit on one of the earlier episodes of the podcast. This is kind of why I don't like the NBA the way it's set up. You have the draft before you have free agency.
Yeah,
that kind of
they gotta fix that.
That kind of screws with everything.
Because the teams are like the Hornets. Kemba Walker doesn't know what he's doing right now. Right. But if he elects, they're like, okay, well, let's just say Kemba leaves. Let's draft a center, and then Kemba leaves, and they're stuck without a point guard. They need to swap that. It makes absolutely no sense. They need to fix that come next year.
Yeah, because I would say if free agency came before the draft and say KD and
so teams know what they have
and Kyrie came to New York, you can make the case maybe they hang on to that pick. It's going to be on a rookie deal, so it does save them on the cap space. Obviously, the Knicks I think would have to move around maybe a little bit, but not much. Again, rookie deal, you're not having to max the player out, and you get somebody like RJ Barrett, who you could insert into the starting 5 immediately. It's kind of like a win-win. He gets to play right away, saves you a little bit of cap on the business side, and you probably get Kyrie and KD in the process. So that's kind of why, because really the way it's set up, you're kind of just gambling on them. You're like, I hope it's okay. I hope this pick works out, but we might not get somebody in free agency, so we kind of need it to work out type thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think if I was going to guess, they probably hang on to it. It's another one of those things, I think if they got a good enough offer, they would certainly listen. But I have a feeling because they probably know that RJ Barrett's going to be number 3. And so I think if they can find a way to make him work in the starting 5, they'll probably hang on to it. Unless, like I said, somebody gives them like a killer offer.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they do a deal with Cleveland, honestly, and move back a little bit, because then you kind of say the further pick you are, you save a little more money, even though they'll be adding Kevin Love to it.
Right.
But we'll definitely see. I think they would want to get for sure locked on a superstar caliber player, which would be not superstar, but at least all-star caliber player, which would be Kevin Love. So that now leads us to the Bulls and Lakers pick. I think the Lakers are locked to take Darius Garland. He signed with LeBron's agency. They're constantly hanging out together. It just seems like that's already a done deal, and it just seems like they're going to move on from old poor Alonzo Ball, who was supposed to be the superstar man in LA, which has really never happened, never really worked out for whatever reason. I think his shot form is a huge role in that. So the Bulls could trade that 7th pick probably to LA, just Lonzo Ball, straight up for that 7th pick. So now the Lakers have picks 4 and 7. Do you think they use it to draft potential young players and just build that around LeBron? Or do you think they use that and just to go all in and pursue for Anthony Davis? Or another guy they're linked to is Bradley Beal from the Wizards, which I think is the more likely scenario, because it just seems like the Pelicans are bitter to doing a deal with LA.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. I can't see New Orleans doing a deal with LA. I've said it before.
They can offer them LeBron, 4 or 7, Ingram.
Well, that's the thing. I said this on the show, and it was, I believe, towards the trade deadline. If the Pelicans were going to do a deal with the Lakers, they would have taken the one at the trade deadline, where it was rumored that Lakers had
they offered the whole team, basically.
And I'm kind of surprised they didn't bite on that, because just the sheer fact that it would have ultimately screwed the Lakers. Because you would have LeBron, Anthony Davis, and whoever else you can find on the street corner to fill in some roster spots. Like, that would have been the vibe. And I don't know if they would have made them any better. Probably would have made them a lot worse, actually. But, and we'll actually probably get into Anthony Davis here in a few minutes. But as far as the Lakers are concerned,
staying in NOLA,
they should probably, it would be in their best interest to try and do a deal with Chicago, get another pick, invest in some young assets. You're obviously going to have free agency come up. So worst case scenario, you whiff in free agency. You still have 2 young assets you got in the top 10. You're saving a little bit of money. It might be another down year-ish for the Lakers, but it's just more cap you're saving to maybe go after somebody in the following offseason. Who knows? But right now, I know the Lakers is a dysfunctional mess. Nobody knows what they're doing in that one. But
I think they go all in on Bradley Beal. I think that's the guy they go all in.
Would they trade for him, or would they try and get him in free agency?
He's not a free agent, Matt. He's under contract.
I thought he was a free agent.
They'll probably.
It seems like everybody's a free agent this offseason.
They'll probably trade 7 Ingram, Kuzma, guys like that, and they'll go out and get Bradley Beal, just for the sheer fact that they don't know if they're going to get anybody in free agency due to what's been going on in the front office these past couple of months. So I think they go on Bradley Beal and pair him up with LeBron. But with Anthony Davis, hold on, before we go to Anthony Davis here, who is your biggest NBA draft sleeper? Mine, I want to make sure I'm saying. Go ahead. I'll let you go with yours. I want to make sure I'm going to say his name right here. That's key for me now. I'm going to say people's names right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My biggest sleeper. That's a tough one. I could see somebody. I could probably see somebody like in Oklahoma City that feels kind of pressured to make a move.
No, in player wise.
Oh, player wise, as far as like trade.
Yes, like player in the draft. Out of the 100 players in the draft, mine. Let's do mine since you're.
Okay. I see what you're talking about. Biggest person that could get drafted.
The biggest sleeper, like a guy that's gonna like fall like anywhere from like 15 to 16.
I thought you were talking about trades.
No, like the biggest. Mine is Terrence Davis Jr. out of Ole Miss. Looking at this guy's highlights, he was projected to be a late second round, and now he's just climbing up draft boards. He's projected to go 20 to 30th. I know the Celtics and Warriors called him up for a second workout. I looked at this guy's film. He plays with so much energy. He's a combo guard. He could play point guard or shooting guard. I think he could even slide into that small forward spot. Just plays with so much energy, and it looks like the team and players just feed off of it. A great playmaker. Looks like the ideal teammate. Amazing athlete. Amazing build. I think this guy has the potential to be a top 3 player in this draft class. Did 4 years at Ole Miss, which may be discouraging to some teams because most teams don't like the 4-year guys really. But this guy's just a pure athlete. Averaged 15 points, 3.6 assists, I believe 5 rebounds at Ole Miss last year in a tough SEC conference. I really like the way he plays. Again, a month ago, no one ever even heard of this guy. Now he's just climbing up draft boards. Probably going to slide in that 20 to 30 range. I pray Boston drafts him. But I never really get what I want when it comes to the draft. So wherever team gets this kid, he's going to make an immediate impact. I truly believe that.
Mine is kind of somebody, he started with a lot of hype, kind of fell off. People kind of stopped talking about him, but it's Bobo. I think he used the rest of this year to get healthy. He knew, okay, I got a really good chance in the draft here. Even if I slip to 20 or whatever, I'm going to make an impact. I know what I can bring to a team. And, I mean, look, we talked about it, I believe, if it wasn't last episode, the episode before. We saw Bobo in person at Finley Prep versus Bishop Gorman, and I don't think I've seen anything like it before. He physically dominated down low, and he almost was making it look like effortless. Like he was almost laughing about it as he was dominating whoever was guarding him down low. Like he looked at it, he was like, "Oh, this guy, okay." My one, I guess, small concern with it is because he's such a tall player, those guys are generally prone.
He's
to
very
injury.
weak too. He doesn't have a lot of muscle.
Very injury prone. So he's gonna have to work more, I think, on his post game, like you said, to get a little bit stronger. But if he can stay healthy for a consistent amount of time, he can definitely bring more wins to a franchise. Maybe somebody that's struggling like. Well, there's a lot of franchises struggling actually in the NBA right now. So.
Not the Warriors or Raptors, pretty much. Everyone seems to be struggling.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're gonna go Bobo?
I think Bobo.
All right. So now it leads us to our last part here. Anthony Davis. What's gonna happen to him? I think he stays at NOLA, sees how the year plays, and the Pelicans wait till the trade deadline to move him. They don't want to do it with the Lakers for whatever reason. Boston seems to be pulling away from it because they want to build around Tatum and Brown now. which leaves the Knicks and a couple other teams. And I think Noah's just like, these assets aren't good enough for us. By rule, Anthony Davis has to play and suit up next year. Say, hey AD, we're gonna hold on to you we're gonna take our time with this. We're gonna hold on to you to the trade deadline next year. We'll see how the year goes. I feel like they can use this as a last chance to keep him. If the year goes well and he's playing well with Zion and this team is, let's just say come the trade deadline, it's usually 58 games in the season. Let's just say the Pelicans are 38-20. I really think AD's stance on being traded changes if they're doing good, and I think they're going to use that to hold on to him. There's no need to rush a deal right now.
Yeah,
no need at all. If Boston and LA were the best offers, and you don't want to do business with LA, Boston's pulling out of trade talks. It seems like. Do not rush a deal and get something worthless and stupid. Do not do a deal with the Knicks and get the third pick, Kevin Knox, and freaking an overpaid player that's going to use to match it. Oh, they don't need to match the salary cap because the Knicks have cap space. So what? Kevin Knox, third pick, and Dennis Smith Jr. Really? You can get so much more for AD, and that is not enough. That is not enough to get for AD. Kevin Knox had a good 10 games last year, died off after that, got an injury. Dennis Smith Jr. just is inconsistent, and you don't know if that third pick's gonna. You don't know if RJ Barrett's gonna be a superstar. You can't sell it enough that RJ Barrett's gonna be a superstar. Whatever that third pick is, there's no guarantee that player's gonna be a superstar like Anthony Davis. Hold on to him. Wait till the trade deadline. LA will still be desperate, and you know what? Just end the bitterness and do a deal with LA at the trade deadline if nothing's changed. I think they use this as they have new management there and everything. They have Zion in place. Drew Holiday's still there. They have some money they can maybe use around come the offseason here where they can add a couple pieces. I think they use that money. I think you hold on to the trade deadline and you see what happens. If Zion comes out and is a monster and dominating right away, Zion and Davis would be a scary duo, and Drew Holiday running the point or shooting guard. I think they're going to have him playing shooting guard mostly because of Alfred Payton, but I think you hold on to Davis to the trade deadline. By rule, he has to play, and you use that as a whole another half the year to keep your pitch, to keep them staying. If they're doing well, no one in their right mind is going to want to leave.
Yeah, certainly an interesting scenario. Anthony Davis is weird. I feel like with Anthony Davis, it's like almost no progress is going. It's like, well, I wanted to be traded at the trade deadline. I still get the vibe he still wants to be out in New Orleans.
It's new management. I think they have to build that relationship with him.
I don't know. I kind of feel like Anthony Davis is like I said, I didn't want to be here 2 months ago. I still don't want to be here. This is just getting awkward. Let's get this deal done. That's what the vibe I get from him. Now, you could be right. They could say, okay, well, we are the number one pick. We could get Zion. This could work out. But
I really has to. I'm
not doubting.
He has to play.
I'm absolutely saying he does.
Wait to the trade deadline. Don't rush a stupid deal and get nothing back in return.
That doesn't mean Anthony Davis has to play 100%. Like, he doesn't have to give his full effort. He just technically just has to suit up and play.
Why would he do that? You know what's going to happen if he does that? He's not going to make an All-NBA team, and it's just going to hurt the amount of money he gets the next offseason. No one in their right mind is going to go out there and be like, I'm going to go play half-ass and drop 12 points and 10 rebounds. Because you know what's going to happen come next offseason? No one's going to give him a $190 million contract. They're going to be like, you averaged 16 and 12. You didn't make an All-NBA team. You're worth 4 years, $120 million. That's what every team's going to do, and that's what they're going to use to get less money, and they're going to have to do. So they're going to have to pay him, and he's just going to get a one-year deal. He's going to screw up his big payday. No one's going to do that. Anthony Davis, no player was going to just come out and just be like, I'm going to go play half-assed all season. He's going to go out there. He's going to play. Wait to the trade deadline, and they can get so much more from him at the trade deadline if he still decides to leave. But this is their chance to make it work. You have Zion, Davis, Drew Holiday. That has the potential to be a very good team. You hold on to him. You tell him, look, we're going to wait to the trade deadline to move you. This is a business. We're going to wait because, right, like I said, what's the best offer they're going to get right now? Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, and the third pick. That is a terrible trade to do right now. Wait till the trade deadline.
Yeah. Well, personally, I still think Boston should have stayed in trade talks. That would have been a killer duo.
It just sounds like that man wants to go to LA.
I do agree. You guys would have had to deal with his agent who.
Exactly. So what's going to happen when we get Davis and he leaves and then Tatum and Brown are gone and they're superstars in New Orleans and we're stuck with nothing?
Yeah.
It's smart. Don't do it.
I don't know. To me,
unless he's like, I will resign and stay here. Do not do it.
I don't know. To me, like I said, it just feels like it's going to be an awkward room with Davis still in New Orleans because I mean, it wasn't just a normal like, hey, I want to be traded. It was like, no, get me out of New Orleans like now.
Remember in 07, Kobe Bryant requested a trade from the Lakers. What did the Lakers do? Let's just hold on to you. Let's be patient. What happened? Did Kobe ever leave the Lakers?
No.
How many championships did they go on to win after that? 3, right? 3 or 2?
Make a good point.
That's what the Pelicans got to do. They have a young potential superstar in Zion. A front court of Zion and Davis is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. And they have a little bit of cap space this summer. Hold on to them. Make that pitch to them. Be like, dude, if you still want at the deadline, I will honor your request and I will trade you. But let's just work this out to the deadline. Right now, a deal for me does not make sense to do because I'm not getting enough assets back in return. That is the general manager's job. So if you're going to trade a player of Anthony Davis's caliber, you need to be getting something good back in return. And they need to wait to the deadline to do that.
Now, you do make an interesting point. Adrian Wojnarowski reported, I believe, David Griffin and Anthony Davis went out to, I believe, breakfast. And from what he reported, it was more like Anthony Davis, I don't think he had made up his mind yet. It almost seemed like he was...
They're making progress.
He was like contemplating. It wasn't... To me, it didn't seem like Anthony Davis was necessarily sold on staying. But I think he moved a little bit off of his stance of, I want out.
I think Anthony Davis personally wouldn't mind playing in New Orleans. I don't think Anthony Davis personally wouldn't mind playing in Boston. I don't think Anthony Davis personally wouldn't mind playing in Detroit or wherever. It's Rich Paul. Rich Paul is like, no, bro, you're going to LA. Lakers, LeBron. I honestly just think Rich Paul has brainwashed this kid.
That was a bad
since
decision.
He's gotten him. I seriously think that. Anthony Davis, from what I've seen, doesn't seem like he is going to care wherever he goes. He's going to go play. He's going to play his, ASS off.
I don't know. He does seem like a more...
It's just Rich Paul like, hey, bro, LA, we're going to get you to LA. Focus on LA.
To me, it seems like Anthony Davis is similar to Kawhi as far as he doesn't say a whole lot. He's not really one to, give you a lot of soundbite. He kind of just goes, plays really well, but doesn't really talk a whole lot. And really, it's just Rich Paul being almost like the puppet for Anthony Davis as far as being like a spokesman.
Yeah.
Because Anthony Davis, I don't know, maybe some people will think this is a flaw, but Anthony Davis, I don't think is very confrontational. He's not one to go at you and say no. He's probably more reserved just to sit there and let it play out.
He goes with the flow. That's exactly. He just goes with the flow, and Rich Paul's the one just pulling the strings. But we will see what happens with Anthony Davis. I personally think if I'm the Pelicans, you hold on to him. By rule, he has to play, or if not, he's going to get fined $2.5 million and be suspended for a, godly amount of games, which he will not do.
Well, I would say knowing the NBA, they just fined the Clippers $50,000 for tampering.
But we will see what happens with Anthony Davis. We will see what happens on the NBA draft, which is June 20th. Appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts on the videos. Matt?
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you got to do to get the word out. We do appreciate the love. Hit us up in the comment section. Follow our social media at Back and Forth Podcast. And we'll see you guys soon.
Rest in peace, August Ames.